everyone, today we're going to do a quick review on mitosis before we move on to meiosis. So if you remember, mitosis is cell division, and the reason why this happens in animals and plants or any living thing, bacteria, just any organism, is because one, they need to reproduce. This is specifically for unicellular organisms, and we're gonna touch on that when we do asexual reproduction. Number two is because we need to be able to grow, right? Organisms grow. And number three is because we need to be able to repair and replace damaged cells. Okay, so let's get started right away. So the first step of the cell cycle is interphase. Okay, interphase is not part of mitosis, but it's part of the cell cycle. So the cell spends 90% on interphase, so spend the most time in this phase. So in interphase, what happens in interphase? First of all, this is kind of how it looks like, and this is what it looks like on plant cells. So in interphase, the cell grows. So cell grows in size, then DNA replicates or duplicates. Okay, so for example, if you started with 2 chromosomes, then it's gonna duplicate to 4 chromosomes. Okay, that's what it means, replicates. And also organelles duplicate and protein synthesis occurs. That means they start making proteins. Then our next step, we're going to start with mitosis. In mitosis, you can use the acronym PMAT to be easy to remember the order. So we're going to start with prophase. In prophase, if you see over here, the chromatin condenses. So we have proteins that coil very tightly that DNA, and then DNA becomes visible. These chromosomes become visible. So when chromatin condenses, chromosomes become visible. And this is an example. In the prior, see, you couldn't see the chromosomes. Here, we're able to see it because they're coiled thanks to those proteins. And they're like in this shape, like this, okay? And also, what happens in this phase is that the nuclear membrane begins to disappear. Okay, it breaks down. Then our next step is metaphase. So metaphase, chromosomes align in the middle of the cell with the help of the spindle fibers. The spindle fibers are created by the centrioles over here. So they're produced by the centrioles, and they attach to the chromosomes. And they help to align them in the middle, so middle of the cell. And this is an example in a plant cell where all those chromosomes are aligned in the middle of the cell. Our next phase is anaphase. In anaphase, the spindle fibers, they pull apart those chromosomes, or you can call them chromatin sister. We call them chromatin sister because they're a copy from each other. Okay, so they're being pulled apart to the opposite poles of the cell, and how it looks like in a plant cell. The next phase is telophase. So in the telophase, the nuclear membrane starts to reappear surrounding those chromosomes, and the chromatids start to uncoil. That means we're going to have again chromatin, that's the uncoiled DNA. Here how it looked like early telophase. Here's forming a cell plate. So what happens then, cytokinesis occurs. So in an animal cell, the cell membrane pinches, right, and it separates. So basically, cytokinesis means division of the cytoplasm. So the cell pinches and it separates, creating the 2 daughter cells. And the plant cells over here, a cell plate forms over here, and then those two get separated by the cell plate. Okay, and here, and it results in two identical cells. So the purpose of mitosis is to create two identical cells. So they're identical to the parent cell, and we are going to see here, and one thing, last week in your performance lab assessment, one of the questions was about the size of the daughter cells compared to the parent cell. So if you see over here this size and the different processes, and then you're gonna see over here that here is creating the plate, right? Cell plate has been created here, and you have your daughter cells here. So the daughter cells are smaller than the parent cell. You see that difference in size? Okay, so you need to look closely to that. Okay, so here again, this is a summary of cell division through mitosis. So here we have the parent cell, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 chromosomes. Okay, so in interphase we know that those chromosomes duplicate, right? Replication of DNA. That means in interphase we're gonna have then 8 chromosomes. And while this cell goes through mitosis, then it's called metaphase, anaphase, is separate, and then telophase and cytokinesis, those cells divide. That means in each one is going to have 4 chromosomes. And we have 2 daughter cells that are identical to the parent cell, so they have the same information. This one has 4 chromosomes. Each daughter cell will have 4 chromosomes. That's the reason why it's important DNA replication during the interphase. Okay, so we create 2 daughter cells that are identical to the parent cell with the same amount, same number of chromosomes. So I hope this review was helpful for you, and you really need to understand the steps. We move on to meiosis, you'll be able to understand it better. Okay? Well, see you tomorrow.